this is Banaji, you will find all sorts of word lists, but you'll also find frequent words for word recognition, reception year 1 and 2, year 4 and 5, and they're all here. This is the UK National Curriculum Site Vocabulary 1 through 5. Great, you know. Folks, these are all core words, you know. Now, I want you to see what actual child speech is like. Want that, go down, me do it. Go down, want that one, go, I see it. You see, is it coming through? Yeah, red's Banaji, yellow's Marvin. What's the most common word there? It's either go or it. Billy's 2 years, 6 months. Here's Tim. I put it on. I'm going to put it up here. You do it up there. Give me it. I put it up there. No, you don't put it there. You have it. It's fun to see that all of these words are core, and this is what the guys are saying.
A list that you don't have is actually a list that I collated myself of my daughter's vocabulary, because I was really interested in not finding these lists. I was interested in actually the development of vocabulary and what were the first prepositions to come. I mean, not just generally, but actually specifically. And obviously that's reflected by the way that I brought her up. But exactly as Bruce is saying, I mean, I've got age 18 months. She was saying, I did it, I got it, there it is, I do it, I can do it. And I just find it so quite fascinating that, you know, this was, for me, a real life experience. This is what my daughter was saying. And her first preposition was up. Up, and then down.
And when children use up, they often use it like clean up, which is very different from up. Yeah. Okay, see what child language is really like, and I think what our goal ought to be in augmentative communication is to begin language developmentally the way typically developing kids begin it, and this is what they say, and look, these are the words they pick, and okay. We've seen these various populations, we've seen toddlers, you know, okay. Programming extended vocabulary is very labor-intensive and frustrating because of its size and variability, and does not result in independent communication. Judy, could you talk about that?
I mean, it's the same thing again that, you know, if you're doing lots and lots of programming or lots of nouns, pages and pages of nouns, or, you know, it doesn't mean that that person is then going to be able to communicate functionally when they just want to chat, they just want to ask for things. So you can actually spend hours and hours of time, and then these words aren't going to be used again. And then you have that person who's then going to leave school, and that's just what Gillian and I were talking about in the previous hour, that they're leaving school and then they don't know their communication devices. They're not using their communication devices because they don't have any functional vocabulary to actually use. They might be able to talk about Vikings or a Roman warrior.
Folks, I think if there's one besetting problem in the United States, is that the majority of students currently, no matter what device they have, are having their devices in their secondary school years turned into special word catalogs. Zoo food is one of my favorites. I often see that. It's the kind of food you can buy at the zoo. You know, and it goes on. And folks, is it nearly infinite? Oh, it is. Typical vocabulary will contain 20,000 nouns. I mean, Frisians. We all know what that word means. Type of cow, isn't it? When was the last time you said that? Limousine. You know, that's a nice word. Okay, so if you have your thing filled with Frisians, Guernseys, and limousines, You know, you're not going to be able to use it. Now this is, to me, poignant. And this is a listserv in the United States, and we've done a lot to disguise when it was done and from whom it was. But this is just one day of a listserv. My son has a touchscreen device. He has a page-based system. I just recently started programming some pages on my computer, downloaded them onto his. This past year, I've become quite faithful. A couple of years ago, my son started making, I realized this, okay, so she's working hard on this every night. As a mom, I feel it's hard to choose words to program on the device. I'm trying to get some info from kids in his classes to see what kinds of things they say. I remember when I did that kind of stuff. And by the way, if you program Groovy into a device, if the child uses it twice in a week, he or she will become an object of ridicule. How many of us have sort of the belief that adolescents have a whole different language? It's not true. It's called English. It follows subject, verb, object, word order, and uses many of the prepositions we use every day. And it has about a dozen or so new words that are circulating and fleeting. And I've also been spending more time with him, asking him what he'd like to say, but it's usually me saying, do you want to say a bunch of times? And he responds with yes or no. Do you see how hard this work is going on? Do you think this kid is going to get a functional communication aid this way, or vocabulary? What vocabulary does he need? He needs core vocabulary. Okay. Many of us feel that we don't use core vocabulary because we don't know how to teach it. And I'm going to show you some of the most abstract core vocabulary imaginable. And I am going to show you how it's done. And we have the very author here himself of this, but I'm going to try. But Tony, please add at any time. Folks, any, every, no, and some combine with body, time, and thing, and where, and how, and one, and a whole pile of words to form a huge collection of words. We know that. If given together, these words would be the 15th most commonly used word in the English language, with thousands of occurrences in 100,000 words. Okay, now let's take a look at this. Okay, any. You see that? You see the reading? We're also getting a subliminal message. Anybody can read. You can think up a rationale and sell it to your student. He'll know that he or she will know that that's any. Now, you see the ear? That's anybody. That's a thing, isn't it? Oh, that thing that went by the window. You can have a lot of fun with that too. That's anything. And then time, there's a wristwatch, that's any time. Every. There's a toilet. Everybody uses the toilet. Can you have fun with that? Sure you can. And the intensity of it when they're 13 or 14 is even more interesting. Everybody. Everything. Have you all guessed what every time is? Nobody. What's that one? Oh, well, it's up there. Nothing. No time. Some. They're pouring some stuff from one thing into another. Somebody. Something. Sometime. Do you see how this will teach motor planning? You're not hitting a key and waiting for a page to turn. You see, that's how Dennis was able to talk without any pictures, because he knew where everything was. There's a woman using a Pathfinder like that out there today. She was using this software and she had the top page taken off.